On 6th of March 1981, Marianne Bachmeier walked into a courtroom and fired 7 bullets into a child molester who killed her 7-year-old daughter, Anna. This incident became an international news and polarized the nation, with some claiming her actions were justified and others saw her as a murderer. But what exactly led her to this very moment, and what happened to her after that? Before she was labelled as Germany's revenge mother, Marianne Bachmeier was a struggling single mom who worked in a pub in 1970s Lübeck, a city in what was then West Germany. She lived with her third child Anna, and her 2 older children had been given up for adoption. Her father was a former Nazi army officer and a stereotypical authoritative figure, and she barely spoke to her mother. She was 16 years old when she became pregnant with her first child, and her mother forced her to give up the baby for adoption. 2 years later, she went through the same thing again. In 1972, Bachmeier welcomed her third child Anna at the age of 23 and had a tubal ligation, eliminating the chances of another pregnancy. She raised Anna as a single parent. Anna was described as a happy, open-minded child, and Marianne treated her like a little adult, expecting her to take care of many things on her own from a young age. On May 5, 1980, when Anna was 7 years old, she had an argument with her mother and decided to skip school. On the same day, she was abducted by Klaus Grabowski, a 35-year-old butcher whose home she had visited before to play with his cats. He was a convicted sex offender and had previously been sentenced for the sexual abuse of 2 girls. Grabowski had kept Anna at his home for hours before he strangled her with his fiance's tights. He then stashed the child's body in a cardboard box and left it on the bank of a nearby canal. Whether or not he sexually assaulted her remains unproven. He was arrested that same evening after his fiancée alerted the police. He confessed to the murder but denied that he abused the child. Instead, Grabowski gave a strange and disturbing story. The killer claimed that he strangled the little girl after she tried to blackmail him. According to Grabowski, Anna tried to seduce him and threatened to tell her mother that he had molested her if he didn't give her money. Grabowski said his fear of going back to prison prompted him to kill her. Marianne Bachmeier was outraged by this story, and a year later, when Grabowski headed to trial for the murder, she had her revenge. Grabowski's trial was likely a heartache for Bachmeier. His lawyers claimed that he killed the child because of a hormone imbalance caused by a therapy he received after being voluntarily castrated years earlier. On the third day of the trial in Lübeck District Court, Marianne Bachmeier grabbed a .22 caliber Beretta pistol from her coat and fired all 7 bullets. 6 of the shots hit Grabowski and he died on the courtroom floor immediately. Bachmeier made no attempt to escape. She dropped her weapon after emptying the Beretta 70s magazine into Grabowski. I heard he wanted to make a statement, Bachmeier later said, referring to the Grabowski's claims that her 7-year-old daughter was trying to blackmail him. I thought, now comes the next lie about this victim, who was my child. Bachmeier allegedly continued, he killed my daughter. I wanted to shoot him in the face, but I shot him in the back. I hope he is dead. The mother of the victim soon found herself on trial for murder. During her trial, a doctor who examined her asked Bachmeier for a handwriting sample, and what Marianne wrote down shocked everyone. I did it for you, Anna. She then decorated the sample with 7 hearts, perhaps 1 for each year of Anna's life. The court ultimately convicted Bachmeier for premeditated manslaughter and sentenced her to 6 years behind bars in 1983. But she was released from prison after 3 years on parole after serving only half of her sentence. She moved to Nigeria, where she married and remained until the 1990s. After she divorced her husband, Bachmeier relocated to Sicily, where she stayed until she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, upon which she returned to a now unified Germany. She died on September 17, 1996, at the age of 46 and was buried next to her daughter Anna. Even decades after her passing, Marianne Bachmeier's case remains an example of vigilante justice, continuing to divide the public to this day. One part of the population convinced that such an act of revenge cannot be tolerated, others sympathize with the mother's action. What do you think? Was shooting her child's murderer an act of justice, or was it dangerous vigilantism?